Hello and welcome to Musicians Can't Make It in the New Music Industry. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Matt Jacoby. I am one of the co founders behind 11 Music Career Center based in Madison, Wisconsin. For those of you who don't know, 11 is a business strategy and education company who helps serious musicians make their music a full time career. So if you want to learn more, you can go to turnupto11.com. So before we get started here, I have a few questions I want to ask you, starting with, are you a musician? I'm hoping this is an easy one, but maybe this will help you with if this is the right webinar for you right now or not. My second question, are you a business manager? My third question, are you an entrepreneur? And my final question, do you want to make music a full-time career? Now, spoiler alert, did you answer yes for all of those questions? And if you're a serious musician, you should have. Um, doesn't mean you're unqualified to be in music full-time, but it just helps kind of identify where your mindset is for you. So make a note of your responses and we can address those later. So to jump into things, for years we've been told that the music industry is different from other industries. And in the past, they were right. I mean, how many doctors or lawyers started out because they were signed to a label? How many teachers or people in retail do you know go on tour as part of their jobs? Absolutely zero. You know, the music industry has was a different beast at one point, but since the internet took over and the era of the DIY musician was born, the music industry has slowly become just like every other industry right under our noses. So musicians are no longer the odd duck out because of this. Musicians are now entrepreneurs. Musicians are now small business owners, and musicians are now business managers. And without that mindset, you will hit a glass ceiling very early in your career and quite possibly never see music through as a full time career. But that's not to say that you can't. So, potentially, only the few of you that knew to raise your hands or answer yes for all four of those questions will make it in music because you have demonstrated that you are already in the correct mindset. And mindset is key to all of this. So let's go into each category that I have here. There's three categories, and understand why you have to be all of these things and play all these roles to succeed in the music industry. So, number one, a musician is now equivalent to an employee. Excuse me for the corporate speak, but in the same sense, or to make this super easy to understand, um, a musician is equivalent to an employee. And why do I say that? Well, in music or for music, a musician is kind of basically a cubicle dweller or equivalent of. So we'll call it the musical cubicle, just to make it more fun. The musician is now responsible for executing the tasks and the heavy lifting to move the needle on the plans that your manager provides and the vision that the business owner or the entrepreneur in this case has for the company. And you're the one that makes the magic happen. You're the one that's bringing products and services to the public. If they're not in front of the public, then the business isn't moving forward. The business isn't doing anything or presenting itself to the general consumer. So the second role here is a musician should also be looking at ways that they can be a manager. A manager is essentially the planner for the company for your music business. You will be more focused on in that way as an organizer. You're looking to do keep things organized. You're delegating work. You're working with vendors and contractors and maybe even other band members to carry out workloads. You're focused on keeping yourself accountable? Are you carrying through self-discipline type things? Um, are you coming to the table with a plan? You know, you have this grand vision of what the company needs to be, um, but you also need to have kind of a roadmap. What are our goals? Why are we doing this? How do we measure our progress? You're tracking your budgets or watching the numbers to ensure that you're always in the black. You're not not making money, because everyone wants to make money when they're doing what they love to do. You're focused on account management. You're maintaining relationships with your licensors, your royalty firms, your other management players, your band members, of course, and of course at the same time building up other relationships to make sure that your music is getting out there in the right channels, in the right platforms. And then as an entrepreneur, you are the visionary for your brand, for your music. Um, you can see the big picture. You've come to the table initially with, this is what I'm going to do with my music. Where are you taking your music? Where is your business going to go? You're there to say, this is where we are today. This is point A on our roadmap. Now act as what we would call the GPS here, and be able to say, what does the roadmap look like for the manager, or in this case, your manager role, and how do you fill in the details of how to get there? As the entrepreneur, you came to the table with the big ideas. You have the dream. You know what you see at the end, but sometimes having the big picture is the end goal. You kind of have to reverse engineer it and say, okay, where do we start in square one? So how do you become all of these things? Not an easy task, right? Well, there are three key areas that you should focus on to help you make this transition from just musician to musician, manager, and entrepreneur. The first one is mindset. Like I said earlier, if you raised your hand for all four of those questions or answered yes for all four, chances are you're already on your way. If you didn't, don't worry. Again, you know the passion is there, but you just need to start kind of thinking about yourself in a different light and your music in a different light. It's a small price to pay, but it's something that other people in the music industry are already toting as well. But mindset is definitely first on the list and your top priority. The second thing is focusing on your business's operations. Chances are right now, because music isn't a full-time sustainable career option for you, you probably have a regular day job that's supporting your music habit or your music addiction, I guess in this case. But changing your mindset to maybe intentionally learning more about how your company works. How does your individual job play into the company as a whole? How does your company operate? Um, those kinds of things will help you better understand how it applies to your own business endeavors. And it's important to get a sense of how things work and what processes are in place to make sure things are working efficiently. Having your own repeatable plan will help make your journey in music easier and more systematic. And the third thing, sadly, because this is in order of priority, mindset, business, is music. Sadly, even in the music industry, the music is probably the smallest thing to be focusing on. Of course, yes, it is the product. Yes, it is the service that you're offering, but music is a relationship-based business. Excuse me, and it's all about who you know. Um, you know, get out there, make the connections, learn more about the business side of the craft. The music is something that comes secondary, but you need to, have a little bit more of a plan, have the confidence, have the ideas to know where your music's going to go. I mean, how many times have you had this thought, man, how did that guy make it in music? He's not really that good. Well, there's a chance that I have an answer for you on that. It's possible that that person that you find may have made it to the radio, but you're not super impressed by his talent or his or her talent. Um, there's a chance that they know how to build relationships and they know how to run a business model, regardless of how talented they actually are. Um, so it kind of opens up a new set of doors that you may not have even considered before. So, how can you get better at any of these things? That's the ultimate question here, right? Um, so, you could go down two possible options here. Um, the first one is DIY, just as you have been doing. You could do like most entrepreneurs do at the beginning and do your own research, spend the hours going down one path, starting over, learning from each experience, growing slowly over time. I bet you that sounds like a lot of fun, right? Um, so there's nothing wrong with DIY. Obviously, everyone's doing it in some capacity if they have a passion. They don't like their job, regardless of industry, but they have something they love to do and want to do it. So they're going to pursue it on their own, and they're going to make all the sacrifices and do all the things I just mentioned in that list. I didn't mean to make them sound like a con or a bad thing. I've done it myself, and it's a great opportunity. There are ways of saying that doing DIY and going it alone can actually be unhealthy, misguided, and limited because you're stuck in what you know. From my own experiences, doing it alone means having to teach yourself everything. The pros of that is, again, you get the growth, you get the personal knowledge of it. You're growing as an individual as well. The cons, of course, are slower progress and reduced patience. You may not be able to have the patience to see what you're trying to do all the way through because you're running out of time or patience. Having to rely on your own personal experiences, which can be limiting. It's good to understand other people's experiences, things, trials and errors that other people have had, wins they've had, so you can avoid common obstacles and pitfalls from the get-go. Um, and having to be self-disciplined and hold yourself accountable is actually one of the hardest things that people will find can deter you from your career path and your passion here. So, just to recap, doing it yourself means you'll be self mentoring, self coaching, self learning. You're limited by your own experience and you have to hold yourself accountable. But the second option is DWI. You may or may not have heard this one before, but this one stands for Done With You. And this is kind of where DIY gets a little bit of a helping hand. Um, what I like is there's a saying that I've had other people tell me is that do it yourself doesn't mean you have to do it alone. No one's career journey has ever been solo. Otherwise, there's a good chance no one in history would have gotten to where they were going. So don't feel bad if you have to ask for help. Doing it alone can usually be the slower route. But having someone help you can provide unbiased mentoring and coaching, bounce questions off somebody. There's a better chance of brainstorming or just getting your ideas across, clarifying your message. It's better than talking to yourself in a mirror because you're going to have a biased approach to your messaging and your knowledge. You're going to get more experience again. You're going to learn from somebody else's trials and errors, their wins, their losses, and they can help you navigate the bumpy road. This also provides true accountability. Instead of saying, oh, I guess I'll do that tomorrow and never do it, and then you're back to being unhappy or wherever you started on square one. This gives you the option of checking in with somebody. Like, I have to finish this work before I check in with X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, there might actually be consequences to me not doing this. So if you're holding yourself accountable, they're not going to have the same consequences if you have someone else doing it for you. So again, you can do it either way, but remember that both ways does not mean you have to do it all alone. So just to recap for today, because you're here for a reason, there's a chance that your passion brought you here, and your passion is your music. But to take it from passion to career, your music is also your business. And now your business is also your passion. So it's time to do it. It's time to own it. Your music isn't just your passion. It's an entrepreneurial passion. It's an entrepreneurial drive. And you are a small business owner. So it's time to start acting like one. So I want to thank you for attending today's short webinar. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My email's there, matt@turnup211.com. You can learn a little bit more about 11 if you'd like at turnup211.com as well. These are a few bullet points on things that we help bands with. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. All right, thank you.